Okay, in this video we're going to talk about radians and how to measure an angle in radians. So up until this point you probably are familiar with measuring angles as degrees. Radians is just another way to measure angles. So before watching this video I encourage you, if you have these notes, to click on that link and it'll walk you through what radians are, and I'll summarize that after. So if you click on the link and then follow the bullets after, it'll show you how that works. Alright, then in the notes section here, we got degree measure. So you're probably familiar with degrees, but the idea of degrees is actually kind of random in a way. Alright, there's 360 degrees in a circle, and there's really no reason for that other than it's divisible by a lot of numbers. And back when geometry was first starting to get discovered and developed, we had a base 60 number system. So 360, you could cut it in half, you can cut it in fourths, fifths, sixths, eighths, ninths, tenths, and all those numbers go into it evenly. Alright, but it's all tied to the kind of abstract idea that there's 360 degrees in a circle. Alright, radians, if aliens were to study geometry, they would probably use radians because it has to do with a circle. It's not really random, like just assigning a value of 360 to one circle. So this GIF here, we'll talk through it. We'll kind of summarize everything that you would have seen in that previous link. So here we have a circle with radius r. Now, if you take an arc, length r, so an arc is like a piece of a circle, and it's equal to the length of the radius, that green angle right there is equal to 1 radian. Now if you were to estimate, that's about 1/6 of a circle. So 3 radians is about half the circle, and pi radians is exactly 180 degrees. Okay, and we'll see why in a second. So that means 2 pi radians is equal to 360 degrees. Now here's why that happens. Alright, the whole point of a radian is how many radiuses fit along the arc of a circle. So a full circle circumference is 2 pi r. Alright, that's just the definition of circumference. Now a circumference would refer to the entire circle, 360 degrees. So if you wanted to see how many times the radius went into the whole circle, that's like finding the radians. So this here would be 360 degrees in radians. Now if we look at the right side, that simplifies to just 2 pi. Alright, which is around 6.28. So that means whatever the length of this radius is, you'd be able to fit it around the circle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 0.28 times around the circumference of the circle. Okay, so everything that I just kind of talked about in the first 3 minutes of this video is kind of summarized on the top page of these notes. Alright, now we're going to learn how to convert angle measures from that are in radians to degrees, and then also from degrees back to radians. Now since 2 pi is equal to 360 degrees, alright, that means that pi radians is equal to 180 degrees. Alright, so just like 12 inches is equal to 1 foot, if I wanted to convert 3 feet to inches, I can multiply it by 12 inches for every 1 foot that I divide out, and I would get 36 inches. Alright, because 12 inches over 1 foot is a form of 1, I'm going to use the same idea to convert from radians to degrees. So when you're going from degrees into radians, you're going to multiply by pi over 180, because pi radians is equal to 180 degrees. So if you multiply by pi over 180, the degrees will cancel out and it'll be in radians. If you're going from radians to degrees, now for every pi radians you divide out, you're going to want to multiply by 180 degrees. Alright, so let's try these examples. So I'm going to do the first two, and then I encourage you to pause and try the other ones. So pi over 6 radians, I'm going to convert it to degrees by multiplying by 180 over pi. Okay, when I simplify, that becomes 180 over 6, which is 30. Alright, so this right here is 30 degrees. For 300 degrees, now it's in degrees, so I want to put it into radians. Radians are usually measured in terms of pi, so I got to multiply by pi. Now every pi that I multiply by, I got to divide out 180. So I get 300 pi over 180, which is 30 pi over 18, which if you divide both 30 and 18 by 6, you get, by 6, you get 5 pi over 3. So that would be 300 degrees in radians, 3 pi over 3. 5 pi over 3, sorry. Alright, so there's going to be one more part to this video. I encourage you to try the other 6, so these 6 right here, convert from radians to degrees, degrees to radians, and then the next video will show you how to do them. One last note, an angle is assumed to be in radians unless you have that degree symbol there. So if there's no degree symbol, you're assuming it's in radians. Most of the time, radians are in terms of pi, but they don't always have to be, right? Like 2 radians is not the same thing as 2 pi radians, all right? So another thing to be careful of. All right, so try those 6 problems, and next video will show you how to do it.